Puerto Rico was supposed to be a reset, a villa, a private escape, a chance for the cast to breathe away from cameras, beefs, and business. But instead of peace, what unfolded here has already sparked whispers powerful enough to shake the entire franchise. When the group arrived, one absence stood out like a flashing red light. Yandy Smith, missing. No quick cameo, no late flight excuse, just gone. And with her absence came the questions. Was she truly busy in California? Or was she deliberately avoiding the trip for reasons far more personal? Because the rumors spread quickly, too quickly. Whispers of a private affair, a pregnancy, connections being made between stray posts on Instagram and cryptic lines dropped by the most unlikely source, Zane. His words didn't just stir the pot, they set it on fire. And so the question was no longer just where Yandy was. The question became why. Why was her absence so carefully wrapped in social media posts that didn't quite add up? Why did Zane seem to know more than he should? And why did every glance, every pause, every silence at that villa point to a truth no one wanted to say out loud? This wasn't just a vacation gone wrong. This was the beginning of a storm. One that would test loyalty, shake marriages, and pull fans into a frenzy of speculation. Picture it. A sprawling villa tucked into the hills of Puerto Rico. Whitewashed walls glowing against the setting sun. The pool, perfectly still, reflecting streaks of orange and purple as the ocean roared softly in the distance. It was marketed as a retreat, a quiet escape where drama would melt away into the tropical air. At first glance, that's exactly what it was. A place meant for laughter echoing across balconies, wine glasses clinking in the evening breeze, and group selfies under palm trees. The kind of space where old grudges could be smoothed over by good food and better weather. But something was off. Even in paradise, silence can feel heavy. Mendeecees paced near the edge of the pool, scrolling his phone. Scrappy kept checking the villa gates like he was waiting for someone who never arrived. The cast lounged in clusters, but conversations never reached the easy, flowing rhythm of a true getaway. And then there were the cameras, not the obvious production rigs, but the handhelds, the cell phones, the quiet recording of moments that weren't supposed to mean anything. Until fans online pieced them together later. The villa was perfect on the outside, but inside, the cracks were already visible. Every missing seat at the dinner table, every forced smile, every whispered aside carried a weight. And though no one wanted to admit it yet, the absence of Yandy had already changed the atmosphere. The villa was supposed to hold peace. Instead, it became the stage for unraveling secrets. And as the sun dipped lower that first night, the vacation shifted, from calm escape to brewing storm. The first red flag wasn't subtle. It hit the group almost immediately. As bags dropped by the villa's entrance and everyone began to settle, there was a pause. A missing energy. Someone asked the obvious question, "Where's Yandy?" At first there were excuses. Maybe she was delayed. Maybe she'd pop up tomorrow. But the mood shifted when Zane, lounging casually near the pool with a drink in his hand, broke the silence. His words were simple, delivered with a half smile that made them impossible to ignore. Not everybody can come on a trip like this. Some people got other things to take care of. Real personal things. The line landed heavy. Heads turned. Mendeecees shot Zane a sharp look. Scrappy muttered under his breath. And just like that, the group wasn't thinking about unpacking or toasting to the trip. They were thinking about Yandy. It wasn't just what Zane said, it was how he said it. Casual, almost playful, but laced with an edge that suggested he knew more than he should. The kind of remark you can't shrug off even if you try. The cast exchanged glances. Whispers started. Someone asked again if Yandy was confirmed to be in California. Someone else pointed out that her last post seemed vague, almost too perfectly timed. And while a few tried to laugh it off, the laughter never quite landed. That's when the realization hit. This wasn't just a missing flight. This wasn't just scheduling conflict. The silence around Yandy's absence, combined with Zane's cryptic delivery, felt intentional. And intentional silence always carries weight. By the end of that first evening, The villa was no longer just a backdrop. It was a stage, and the audience, both the cast and the millions watching online, had their eyes locked on one burning question. What was Yandy hiding? If the villa's tension was the spark, social media became the wildfire. Fans wasted no time connecting dots, scrolling through Yandy's Instagram, TikTok, and even archived Facebook posts. What they found raised more questions than answers. On paper, Yandy was in California. Her feed showed her at a charity brunch, a quick clip of palm trees, and a photo with a vague caption. Sometimes distance is necessary for clarity. But the timestamps didn't sit right. A brunch supposedly on Sunday was posted late Monday night. The palm tree clip? Reverse image searches suggested it could have been filmed weeks earlier. Fans argued over whether her outfit in one picture matched an event from last month. It was like a puzzle with missing pieces. And Zane's earlier line about personal things turned every post into evidence. Was Yandy avoiding the trip to dodge confrontation? Was she covering up something bigger? Or was she simply working, and fans were seeing shadows where none existed? The cryptic captions didn't help. Phrases like, "growth requires silence," and "some truths don't need to be explained" became fuel for speculation. Entire Reddit threads were dedicated to decoding her words. Twitter timelines split between two camps, those convinced she was hiding a pregnancy, and those certain an affair had blown everything apart. And then came the detail no one could ignore. A story post, just a few seconds long, showing Yandy in what looked like a dimly lit room. A shadow in the background, a reflection in glass that fans swore was a man. The clip disappeared within hours, but not before screenshots spread like wildfire. In an age where receipts mean everything, that single clip became the battleground. Was it proof of secrecy? Or just an innocent slip? Whatever the truth, the timing felt too perfect. The villa drama and Yandy's digital breadcrumbs were now intertwined, blurring the line between coincidence and calculated distraction. By midweek, it wasn't just the cast questioning her absence. It was the entire fan base, watching, dissecting, and demanding answers. And each unanswered question only made the silence louder. By the second day, the weight of Yandy's absence wasn't just gossip, it was tension you could feel in the air. Mendeecees paced the villa like a man carrying secrets too heavy to drop. Phone in hand, eyes darting. Every few minutes he stepped away from the group, whispering into the receiver, then returning with a face that told everyone nothing, yet revealed everything. Scrappy, usually the one to crack jokes and keep the mood light, wasn't himself either. He checked the villa gates like clockwork, sometimes twice in 10 minutes. When pressed, he brushed it off. Just waiting on a call, man. But his body language betrayed him. Arms folded tight, eyes fixed on the horizon instead of the conversation, the others noticed. You could see it in their side glances and hushed whispers. It wasn't just about Yandy anymore. It was about how Mendeecees and Scrappy reacted to Yandy not being there. Their visible stress shifted the balance of the group dynamic. Dinner conversations lost their rhythm. Toasts felt forced. Even simple questions, "What's the plan tomorrow?" ended in silence or clipped replies. And every time Zane spoke, tossing in another vague line about people handling business, the tension doubled. The unspoken rule of the villa had always been, don't let private drama spill into the group. But now, private drama was the group's only topic. Every look at Mendeecees, every sigh from Scrappy, every calculated silence felt like a puzzle piece, one that only deepened suspicions. The villa wasn't just paradise anymore. It was a pressure cooker. And Mendeecees and Scrappy were at the center, sweating under heat they couldn't quite escape. While the villa cracked under silence, the outside world was anything but quiet. Fans became detectives overnight, combing through every clip, every caption, every background detail for proof. Clips from the first 2 nights were replayed endlessly. Zane's sly grin, Mendeecees' restless pacing, Scrappy's sharp glances at the door. Entire TikTok breakdowns appeared with slow-motion zoom-ins, arrows pointing at facial expressions, even freeze frames of wine glasses being set down harder than usual. And then came the debates. Two camps locked in battle. One camp swore this was about an affair. Theories ran wild about secret rendezvous, about Yandy hiding someone in California, about Zane deliberately hinting at truths others were too scared to say. The other camp insisted it was pregnancy. They cited her captions about growth, her baggy clothing in recent posts, even the shadowy figure in that now-deleted story. To them, this wasn't about cheating, it was about concealment. About Yandy staying away because the news wasn't ready to be public. On Reddit, timelines were charted. On Twitter, screenshots were dissected. On Instagram, comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Anger, curiosity, concern. Every reaction mixed into a storm of speculation. And the irony? The more fans searched for clarity, the murkier everything became. No single theory stood unchallenged. No piece of evidence was airtight. But together, all of it kept the story alive, kept it growing. Inside the villa, silence reigned. Online, noise thundered, and between the two worlds, the truth waited, still out of reach. The producers thought a change of scenery would ease the tension. Boats, sunshine, a shimmering lake framed by Puerto Rico's lush hills. On paper, the perfect reset. But in reality, the outing became gasoline poured over an already growing fire. From the start, the mood felt off. Mendeecees boarded first, his phone still in hand, sunglasses masking his eyes. Scrappy followed, cracking a joke that landed flat. The others tried to inject energy, posing for photos, blasting music, sipping drinks, but beneath the smiles was unease. And everyone knew why. The elephant wasn't on the boat. It was Yandy. At first, the tension revealed itself through silence. People staring at the horizon too long. Conversations cut short with sudden sips of champagne. Then came the looks. Mendeecees catching Zane's smirk. Scrappy shaking his head after yet another vague comment. And Zane, he played his part perfectly. He didn't accuse. He suggested. Little throwaway lines like, "Not everybody wants this kind of spotlight," or "Some truths are too heavy for the lake." Delivered with a laugh, but sharp enough to sting. By midday, subtle lines weren't so subtle. Mendeecees snapped back. "Stop talking like you know everything." Scrappy muttered something about keeping family business off the boat. It wasn't a full confrontation, not yet. But it was the first crack in the fragile truce. Even small disputes, who got the aux cord, who picked the music, who chose the route, turned sharper than they should have. What should have been fun became layered with meaning, every word carrying weight it didn't need to carry, and the cameras caught everything. Mendeecees pacing along the deck, Scrappy leaning over the rail, exhaling like he wanted to jump in just to escape. The rest of the cast? Caught in the middle, unsure whether to laugh it off or admit the truth, that Yandy's absence had poisoned even paradise. By the time the boats returned to shore, the group wasn't lighter. They were heavier. The afternoon hadn't healed. It had escalated. And the storm that was supposed to stay quiet was now rolling closer, louder, and impossible to ignore. If the boat trip cracked the surface, dinner shattered it. The long wooden table in the villa's courtyard was set for celebration. Candles glowing, dishes steaming, glasses lined up for a toast. But from the moment everyone sat down, celebration was the last thing on their minds. The silence was suffocating. Forks scraped plates. Drinks went untouched. Until finally, one voice cut through the quiet. "Enough. We can't keep pretending. Where is Yandy and why isn't she here?" The words landed like thunder. Mendeecees froze. Scrappy looked away. Zane? He leaned back in his chair, smirking, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. That single question unlocked a flood. Demands for answers, frustration spilling out. Castmates accused Mendeecees of hiding the truth, Scrappy of deflecting, Zane of stirring chaos. The air turned thick with heat and accusation. Mendeecees finally snapped. His voice sharp, his hands gripping the table. "Yandy has her reasons. It's private. It's not for you or anyone else to drag out here." But Zane pounced. Calm, cold, calculated. Private? Or secret? Because there's a difference. And secrets, they always come out. the table erupted. Some defended Mendes, insisting boundaries were necessary. Others pressed harder, saying fans already knew something was wrong and silence would only make it worse. Scrappy tried to mediate, raising his voice over the noise, but his words drowned beneath the storm. Plates went untouched. Drinks remained full. And through it all, the cameras captured Zane, leaning back, sipping casually, eyes gleaming as if every outburst was part of his plan. By the end of the night, nothing was resolved. No clear answers. No clarity. Only louder questions and deeper fractures. The group left the table one by one. Some angry, some broken, all unsettled. The dinner that was meant to unite had instead divided. And as the candles burned low, one truth was undeniable. Yandy's absence wasn't just haunting the trip anymore. It was tearing it apart. When the sun dipped and the villa quieted, one figure remained untouched by the chaos: Zane. To the group, his cryptic lines felt reckless. To fans, they were breadcrumbs. But to Zane himself, it was something else entirely: control. He watched how a single remark could shift the air in the room. How Mendes stiffened. How Scrappy avoided eye contact. How even the most confident cast members hesitated before answering questions that never needed to be asked. Zane didn't reveal secrets. He suggested them. He painted outlines and let others fill in the colors. And in doing so, he created tension that spread from the villa's dinner table to millions of phones across the world. Every smirk, every shrug, every carefully timed pause turned him from background castmate to orchestrator. When the sun dipped and the villa quieted, one figure remained untouched by the chaos: Zane. To the group, his cryptic lines felt reckless. To fans, they were breadcrumbs. But to Zane himself, it was something else entirely: control. He watched how a single remark could shift the air in the room. How Mendes stiffened. How Scrappy avoided eye contact. How even the most confident cast members hesitated before answering questions that never needed to be asked. Zane didn't reveal secrets. He suggested them. He painted outlines and let others fill in the colors. And in doing so, he created tension that spread from the villa's dinner table to millions of phones across the world. Every smirk, every shrug, every carefully timed pause turned him from background castmate to. He wasn't the storm. He was the hand guiding the winds, making sure the storm never lost strength. And as night settled over Puerto Rico, one truth became clear. Whether the rumors were real or imagined, Zane had made himself indispensable. To the storyline, to the suspense, and to the audience who couldn't stop watching. Morning in the villa was supposed to be calm. Sunlight flooding the kitchen, coffee brewing, the laughter of a new day. But instead, the table was lined with silence. Mendes stared into his plate, barely touching his food. Scrappy tried to lighten the mood with a half-hearted joke, but no one laughed. Conversations stalled before they began. The cast spoke in fragments, filling the air with empty chatter that convinced no one. Outside the villa, things were anything but silent. Blogs and fan pages had already picked apart Yandy's latest posts. Another California upload, this time of her at a studio session, sparked debates about whether it was live or pre-recorded. The comments exploded with questions. Why is she avoiding the trip? Who's that in the background? The rumor mill was at full speed. Headlines hinted at betrayal. YouTubers dropped hour-long breakdowns, zooming into screenshots. Hashtags trended. Every moment inside the villa felt amplified by the frenzy outside it. And as the cast sipped coffee in uneasy silence, the world was already writing their story for them, one rumor at a time. By the trip's end, questions outnumbered answers. The absence, the cryptic lines, the deleted post. Nothing was resolved, yet everything felt heavier than when it began. Mendes avoided cameras. Scrappy ducked questions. Zane smirked as if he'd written the script himself. And the villa, once a paradise, was now a stage set for the next act. Fans begged for clarity, demanding receipts, searching for that one undeniable piece of proof. Was it betrayal? Was it pregnancy? Or was it something darker? Something no one had dared to say out loud yet? And just as the group prepared to leave, a teaser dropped. Quick flashes of tomorrow's footage, raised voices, a slammed door, and one haunting line. You think you know the truth? Wait till you see the receipts. The story wasn't finished. It was only beginning. And the next day promised answers, or at least even bigger questions.